All right, we're live. Little clock is rolling, so we are live right now, waiting for some more people to jump on this live feed that we have running, of course, through three different channels. We have it running on our Facebook page, we have it running on our YouTube, and also our Twitter. One of the first things I want to say is welcome to the Rising Texan podcast. And if you can please share this video or tag a friend in the process of watching or in and out, or just real quick before you switch it and watch something else, please go ahead and send this video out, share it with somebody, share it with a group, share it with your friends. So we can get a little bit of more viewership out of these podcasts. So today we have a interview for you guys. We have an interview. Yesterday we were able to bring out a candidate. Now we have another candidate for you. We have the Republican candidate for Maverick County Commissioner Precinct 2. So we're going to go ahead and bring him on. The Republican nominee for Maverick County Commissioner Precinct 2, Jose Rodriguez. What's going on?
Not much, Isaac. How's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Thank you for scheduling an interview here with us so we can kind of catch up. I know we've interviewed you in the past. A lot has happened since then. Can you update us and what is going on with your campaign?
Well, we have been working hard, mostly on the social media platform. I know that we have a secure place in the ballots for the primaries and the election in November, so we don't have to really campaign that much. The campaigning for us starts after the primary election for us Republicans.
So that's why you see most of the Republicans right now, they're just kind of, I guess, laying low uh, after seeing what develops right now with the Democratic primaries. And then from there, your opponent's going to be chosen, right, for the general
Uh,
election.
That's correct, because there's no point in investing money. Personally, myself, investing money in signs or fighting each other um, if we are not having any competition in the side of the Republican side. I know that Democrats have multiple candidates for the same place, so that's why we have been laying back on our side.
All right, that sounds good. Well, let's. I think we got kind of a little bit ahead of ourselves. One of the things that I wanted to ask or wanted you to talk about a little bit is about yourself and the what type of experience do you bring in running for Maverick County Commissioner Precinct 2? What kind of knowledge? What inspired you to jump in, or throw your hat in the race, and much less, in on the Republican ticket, because I mean, I can't remember the last time we had anybody on the Republican ticket down here in Eagle Pass, Maverick County. So, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I have my for starters, I am a very conservative person. I have been for so many years. We grew up in the poverty for maybe 15 years, 20 years, maybe of my life. We were migrant workers, as many people here in the community. We would go up north and work the um, the fields, and once I had the chance, I was able to go to college and get my business degree. So from there, I founded my own business and have gained the knowledge to how to manage and administer business and accounting.
Mm.
So that is what I feel that the precinct for this community needs, know how to administer and keep the accountability for the people.
Yeah, so what pretty much what you're saying, I guess, bringing your business knowledge into commissioner's court would be a good assistance coming from that, right? As far as
Yes, you have to view politics as a business. You go in and do business as normal and take the tough decisions, and attack how you need to take them. Sometimes they're good or sometimes they're bad, but you have to find the wise choice how to proceed. And I'm a person of very vast knowledge to know how to debate, and I am not gonna be a yes man. I will challenge what is concerning for the public because I don't, and even in my last employment, I was never the one to be quiet or to one to silence my voice for my employees and my workers because I don't like unfairness and disrespecting other people that don't have the voice to speak for themselves.
yeah, I see. As you're saying, that kind of thing that you're the type of person that doesn't, shy away from, a little bit of conflict and always feel, I guess, that people should be treated equally and right and all that. Is that one of the things that inspired you or motivated you to run for this position?
Yes, that's correct. I mean, that's something that inspired me to run for this. I'm we've had um, the commissioner that is currently in office. I mean, and even in past administrations, after living in my community, it's been 30 years since they started, and finally, after 30 years, they paved our street.
Mm,
And commissioner, whomever the commissioner was, the office of the commissioner was in that street. I mean, I live at Ruela Street. So the office of the JP and the office of the commissioner is just a walk away.
mm.
So I mean, I can pretty much tell you when they're in, when they're out, or when they're not working.
So I guess what you're kind of trying to dance around is that you don't see them there, often, or
Well, I mean, I don't want to point fingers, but I mean, it's obvious when they're in and when they're not. I mean, I do transit around, going around my community. I mean, I grew up here since I was very little, and I know this subdivision because I went to school to this in this community, and I grew up here. So I mean, I know every street and every person around this community.
so a moment ago you mentioned something about debate. I heard the word you said debate. Would you be willing to participate in any type of debates if any of the contestants? I mean, I guess what there's three Democratic candidates and there's only one of the Republican side. But would you be willing to debate whether it would be with somebody right now or the winner of the Democratic nomination, or
I
is that
wouldn't
something?
I wouldn't shy away from a debate with the winning candidate for that will be in the ballot.
Well,
That would
okay, let's. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
that would demonstrate what their intentions are and what my intentions are for the community. As I can tell you, I mean, there is many points of each candidate that I can tell you, and these are points that I wrote just before I came in onto the show.
You want to share that with us?
I mean, I just know for a fact that Miss Cantu, she she just likes the title of being commissioner, but not the responsibility, because you can see and clearly see the evidence that nothing is being done.
Well, let me ask you this. Just recently, I guess maybe about a month ago, I want to say, they had a distribution of funds that was going to be dedicated. A portion was going to be dedicated to each precinct, right? So I think there was about a million. I think it was $1 million. That was going to be distributed amongst the four precincts, and precinct two, which is Commissioner Cantu's precinct, received the highest total of funding, or the biggest slice of the pie, so to speak, 600,000, compared to somebody else's 200, somebody else's 100, somebody else's 150. What I'm getting to there is that, given the opportunity, what would you have done in that case? Would you have voted for you to get the 600,000 for your precinct, or would you have been more of a diplomatic, fair, even up those fundings? Instead of
I'm
just, you're familiar with what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I saw this in Commissioner's Court. I am very familiar with watching um, Commissioner's Courts every now and then, and in my honest opinion, that is not something that I would have voted, even if I were at the time commissioner, because that would have said that I have not been doing my job correctly. Why? Because I have had, or at this point, Miss Cantu has had 8 years and she had not paved um, the streets that she needed. Like I said, she likes the title but not the responsibility. And with that, her she is the political stepping tool for her family to get ahead.
Hmm. Well,
Because
I
you
mean,
you can see, like you can see it in that tree that was um, published. I mean, there is some of her family there, and her
mhm.
business is doing very well. Also, at the sheriff's office,
Oops.
because I mean that is the preference bondsman that they give out preference to.
Whoa. And I think a lot of people don't realize or don't notice that situation that's going on, and the possible conflict that can arise from that. I mean, you got family members or people of close, they're probably people that talk to every day. They're close relatives, right? A mom and a son, a mom and a daughter, a mom and a lady, a sister and a brother. So you have a situation that, where it just doesn't, I don't want to say it's wrong, but maybe it doesn't look right, because that would give them an opportunity, compared to the other bail bonds here, right? um, to know about what kind of cases are coming out, or what's going on. In other words, they have an insight with those, her kids, being there in the sheriff's department, which is, I think that's kind of what you were, um, trying to say, is, they got I mean, with that tree alone, right? That tree kind of shook up everything here in the community, and kind of really opened everybody's eyes to who's involved in this situation, who is supporting, who is standing with, the little group that has established itself just for the past couple of years, right? Now, you
I
mentioned.
mean, and it should be shameful because I mean you could see that Mr. Cantu, the current candidate to be running for a judge, they are relatives, and if he published that, I mean that should be really shameful for your own family to publish something about you.
I'm sorry. What race are you talking about?
Ramsey Cantu,
Okay, okay.
he's relatives to Rosy Cantu.
Really?
Yes, they are the same Cantu.
I had no idea. You went a little dark there.
Yeah, let me just get this situation.
All right. Well, we could still hear you, so we're good. So I mean, I wasn't aware of that. One thing that I do know is, I mean, there is a notion or a sense that Rosy Cantu is part of a group, right? The political establishment right now in Maverick County, City of Eagle Pass, what exists, the stronger group at the moment, right? The establishment, as I like to call it. And you have Rosy Cantu as a big part of this establishment because she's one of the votes in the Maverick County Commissioner's Court. And her vote, I mean, you can argue that her vote is a swing vote because you have a stalemate always in between Roberto Ruiz, Olga Ramos, and then the judge and Jerry Morales. So there's that third or fifth vote, right? That could go either side. But what we have been seeing, especially the past year, and I'm sure it was like this the previous years, you tend to see the majority siding together. I like to say the majority strikes back, and they push different types of budgets, different types of amendments, changes, policy. We saw how the redistricting of the precincts went real quick right before registration, and
Susana, turn on the light.
and you see what they're trying to do and how things are being established. How do you feel going against that, so-called establishment, so-called empire, moving forward with your campaign?
That establishment needs to be destroyed, disarmed. They just don't need to be there anymore. I mean, Judge Salcedo is a political bully that always needs to be in agreement, and it's his way or you'll be just set aside.
Yeah, and we've seen that happen several times in commissioner's court as well. Of course, we've seen several of quote unquote temper tantrums that have been thrown as well. Whenever just the way he speaks at any time to any commissioner and employees that should be at meetings or around him. A lot of people have commented on the way he speaks, ooh, excuse me, to his employees. Now, I know that one time that I went to court, that I went to go speak during our, the 3 minutes that they give the open public to comment on something. I went, I commented something, I waited for after the meeting. Unfortunately, my phone was dead, but whenever I went to go ask him about something, he kind of snapped at me. And I think that there's been plenty of people that have gone through a situation like that that has to do with the current Maverick County Judge David Salcedo. And it's disappointing that he is the county judge. He is part of this majority. He is the head figure of the establishment that we're talking about right now. So, as the Republican candidate, what strategy are you looking for? Because I'm sure you guys are thinking not just about this race, but beyond, and trying to turn this county into a red county when it's been for so many years a blue one.
Yes. Well, first of all, we have to get early voters to vote red. I mean, like I mentioned, Miss Cantu is only in it for the title. She never questions what Mr. Saucedo um, is saying it in commissioner's court. She always agrees. She nods her head. She never questions anything, and she has her family there, and it's convenient for her business. So she is only benefiting her pockets, not the community. And
Let me ask, let me ask you this.
Miss,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but since we're in the middle of talking again of the commissioner in precinct two, the current commissioner, your possible opponent in the general election, how do you feel? Let's say that if you were to win the general election, you're gonna come in what? It would be the rest of that would be in November, December, and I think that you wouldn't come in until a year after that, correct?
yes.
So how would you handle that situation, knowing that you're gonna come in as the commissioner of precinct two? Uh, Rosie's gonna be on her way out. You're commenting on her having family there. So how would you handle that situation once she's no longer the commissioner?
Well, I know the transition is going to be hard, but it's just a matter of fact of having a peaceful transition. I know it's going to be difficult.
Well, I mean, I guess I was kind of leaning towards personnel decisions. No, thinking would they still family members that you mentioned right now, would they still have a place in employment? Uh, you being the Republican Maverick County Commissioner of Precinct Two.
Well, I don't feel that the employees should be responsible for the decisions of a bad leader.
Oh, so pretty much you're saying that they're coming in, they're just doing a job,
I mean, if they are doing their job correctly, I don't feel that they should um, pay the consequences of their leader failing and having to leave office. I
Okay.
mean, personally, I would see that in the coming weeks if I was elected, then you would have to see. But also, I would assume that HR would have documented anything. But who would know if Mr. Sanchez never knows anything? I mean,
Well,
he's always at commissioner's courts, but he never knows the answers to anything. So I mean, it's all this incompetence that the Maverick County um, has, and nobody says anything about it. I mean, there is a lot of potential of improving, and commissioner's court is run by the commissioners and the head, who is the county judge. There is people that are being placed at jobs that are being paid at $25 an hour. Why not make a reasonable pay, maybe $13, $14 an hour, and hire two people, or hire a competent person that knows what they're doing, and not have the dilemma of not even knowing what they are doing, like the issue that I had prior to with the American Rescue Plan.
well, see, now that you bring that up, let's go ahead and pull that question in. And where are you with that situation that you've have been dealing with. Just to bring everybody up to speed, generally speaking, you were arrested by the Texas Rangers. You bailed out, I guess, the next day, right? And what is the charge that they arrested you on?
They arrested me on to their terms on with the altering documents with the attempt to defraud,
Mm,
and I did spoke to the Secretary of State, and it was very simple error that was done. Nothing that would have been an alleged fraud. It was just some document that was not filed under the Secretary of State
mhm.
and paid the $25 fee that they require you to file. And that was just it. I mean, that was what was done.
So it was just that simple. So the whole arrest with the Texas Rangers, you having to go to, I assume the county jail, right? To get bail, all that was an exaggeration of what actually happened.
Yes,
Did that factor into you wanting to run for? Because was that before or after you announced that you were going to run for commissioner?
that was 2 hours after I announced.
Oh, they move quickly, huh?
Yes.
I mean, so you
And I
announced
mean,
and they arrested
they're,
you 2 hours after?
yes.
Wow.
And they denied me they didn't specify anything. They just put me in a holding area and that was it. They didn't give me any way to call anywhere. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't believe that's the way of due process. So I got a way to call my mother and get bailed, but I don't understand what the hell they were doing.
So, man, I
But
guess
I
that
mean,
just
there's this Texas Ranger that is right sitting in front of Salcedo's office, and he doesn't know that there is so many slot machines registered under other entities, but they're being used as slot machines.
really you want to elaborate a little bit about that with us?
I mean, I don't know what they are registered under, but there is multitude of slot machines everywhere, and people do the blind eye and
So
they don't say anything.
you're actually talking about what quote unquote they call the casinitos here, right? The
Yes,
Okay,
I
okay.
mean that's what the Texas Ranger should be investigating. Who is covering for all these people?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it is illegal. We know that. I'm not sure if it's a felony or a misdemeanor charge to be in operation of one. Um,
And
I
they're
do
doing
know.
business as an apparent. They're registered to like a donut shop as an example or whatever. But I mean that's just something that I heard.
Wow. Well, see,
But that's only uh, uh, my opinion that's what these Texas Rangers are investigating as opposed to what is being actually being done and not investigated. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, it was a weird situation having the Rangers go and arrest you because I know that they typically do not handle um they handle high profile type of cases, you know what I mean? Or
Exactly.
and it seems to me that it was a little bit of use of excessive force, I want to say, um, in dealing with the situation that you came about with. And so how did that situation make you feel moving forward? Is that something that pushes you to want to win this race, or that's another issue on its
It
own?
it motivated me even more.
Okay.
Why? Because these type of misuse of power needs to go away
Well,
and
you see,
not being used to their advantage.
and another. I mean, you're not the only one that has gone through a situation like that. Rodolfo Banda, he actually went through the same situation where he was, well, not the same situation, but a similar situation where he was put in jail, wasn't given a phone call, wasn't given a chance to do anything, and then eventually they got him out after I think like a week. But he didn't have any, violations, anything like that, and I believe that I don't know if it's been resolved, but it just looks wrong when you arrest somebody for no reason, right?
Yes.
Uh, moving forward, so I know we've talked a lot about issues with Precinct 2 and the commissioner there. Of course, she'll possibly be your candidate come November. What else do you see here in Maverick County that needs to get addressed? I mean, I know you're talking about the situation with, like the ranger and other situations there. Can you be more specific with us and tell us other areas that you'd like to address as a county commissioner?
We need to listen to the people. That's what we need to do. I mean, I am willing to listen to the people because I am better than they are. Why? Because I am their neighbor, their fellow citizen. I am a concerned citizen as well. So we need to listen to the citizens and know what they are dealing with and what they are having to face every day and what is needed to be done in the community and actually get the job done.
Yeah, I know that there was several issues that were going on as well. I mean, I guess specifically in precinct 2, and where all of a sudden I think you touched on this before, that they started addressing the streets at the final hour and the last minute right before elections. Is that something that you would do differently?
Yes, that's something that you don't. That's only a way to secure your ticket to the ballot. I mean, that's not a way to please the people. You might advertise it as doing it fast, but I mean, what kind of work are you doing?
Mhm.
You might have to replace them in maybe 1 or 2 years when if you do it at a steady pace, they can last longer and
Yeah.
not reinvest. I mean, you're using the taxpayers' money to pay for all this.
Now, there's been several projects out there that have been done by the county, and I mean, you can see in Facebook, there's a lot of people in disagreement with certain projects, certain events that are being conducted out there. Of course, this comes out of our taxpayer money, is the way you see it. How do you see certain projects that have been brought up, like the amphitheater for one? What are your thoughts and ideas about that? And also the recent event celebrating the 150th year of Maverick County. Uh, what were your thoughts on how they were spending taxpayer funding directly for the bands and entertainment for that day?
That's just plain stupid. You don't admit COVID. You don't use taxpayers' money to create an event that is gonna give you even a bigger problem after the event is over. You know, you saw the spike in COVID during those weeks and during the holidays. You don't want that. I mean, it was just not the best idea, and who ended up paying for it, the taxpayers' dollars. I mean, and then especially how ridiculous people looked with the VIP t- slogans. What makes them better than every other taxpayer dollar
And then it
and
was a
taxpayer?
VIP and a free concert, right?
Exactly. I mean, what makes Judge Saucedo better than another person that pays taxes? Can you tell me?
I mean,
Just because he's a judge?
I'm sure he'll have some. I'm sure he'll have some responses for that, right? But now, one of the
I mean,
things that
that's something we want to change. We want to change this political machine that wheels around in favor of those who are in the inner circle.
yeah, that's something kind of like I've tried to share and bring to light that they have their group, right? The as we're I guess we named them today the establishment. They have their group, they have their network of people, their workers. Now these guys are multi-talented guys, and what I mean by that is that some of these people, they work for the county, they get a contractor check from the county, and then they go and help out with votes. A lot of these people we see come out and several politicians reports campaign finances whenever these elected officials pay them. Um, it they get listed on here, and you see how the conflict there. You got uh, for a good example, you got the Eagle Pass news leader, and you have them getting paid, advertisement money, yeah, a good sum of money. We had a show where we showed how much money has gone to them from the county. And then you also got the two people that are listed on their website as the editor and the office manager or something like that. Um, both are county employees too, so they're getting paychecks from the county. They're getting a contract and getting money out the county also like that. And then these people turn around and I think you can share my opinion that they are very one-sided with their news, right? um, they never say anything bad. It's always everything good. Any opponent, anybody that tries to speak out, say something, they're tarnished in these newspapers. One thing I noticed is whenever your situation happened, it seemed almost immediately you were plastered on, social media by these newspapers, and I'm referring to, of course, the Eagle Pass News Leader and El Latino, um, which are one of the two top, one of the top. They're both publications here locally that do have contracts with, or maybe not contracts, but do get paid from the county directly for advertising. Do you think that there's a situation that's kind of set up there, especially with the Latino being that, it's just a Spanish speaking or Spanish publication with very little legitimate content on there, but they're getting paid over $60,000 a year. What are your opinions on
Yeah.
that?
My opinion on that is, I mean, that company or that affiliation needs to go as soon as possible. I mean, there should not be an exclusivity with media. I mean, why would you want to? I mean, if you want to cover the news, cover it as public domain. You don't have to pay someone to cover your news.
You see, and it's funny now that we see the election in full swing. We've asked, County Judge David Salcedo if he would be willing to come on the show for an interview, and we haven't gotten any response. Not a yes, not a no, not a maybe. We just haven't gotten any response from him. But you do see him come out regularly in the Eagle Pass newsletter, excuse me, in the Latino, as we mentioned. What are your thoughts on that? As far as do you feel, is it your opinion that something is being manipulated there to his advantage?
Oh, he's being biased that those companies or those media outlets would not say anything about him or will not publish any negativity about his um, campaign or smear his campaign.
Hmm. So, I'll ask your opinion. What do you feel about the Maverick County judge race right now, the way it's going, or what are your thoughts? Who do you think is going to take? I know you have a Republican candidate, but we're talking about the Democratic right now. How do you feel that
Like
race is going to be?
like I mentioned, like I mentioned earlier, I mean, Judge Salcedo, like I said, he's just a political bully, and he just needs to go, and he is no good for the county anymore. And Ramsey, I mean, what can I say? He takes moves more than what he can handle, to be honest. And he's only good for cutting ribbons, to be
That,
honest.
that I mean, that's what a lot. That's one of his biggest criticisms, I believe, from his opponent, David Salcedo's campaign, is the ribbon cutting thing. So you're in agreement with that.
That's just my opinion. I mean, but everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Hmm. Absolutely. And moving on into your race now. Um, like I said, we're aware of the situation that you have three Democratic candidates that are up for the nomination, that will be, running their race and concluding their race before you know who your opponent is. But we have in precinct 2, we have Sergio Nandin that we interviewed a couple of days ago. We have Rosy Cantu, also, which is the current Maverick County Commissioner. And then we have Roxy Rios, that is the current JP of Precinct 2, that is trying to jump up to Maverick County Commissioner Precinct 2. So you have a three race horse over here. Of course, you're already kind of get moved into the general election. How do you feel, or what do you think? How do you think it's going to set up, or where are the chips going to fall with this Democratic primary, referring to precinct
Well,
two?
I mean, Roxy has to be reachable. I mean, I've heard that she's really unreachable as a JP right now, and what makes you think she'll be reachable as a commissioner? Um, she's just writing the tailcode of her family name. And about Nandin, I mean, I don't have enough to voice about him.
Hmm.
I just recently just heard about him. I don't know him personally or have heard enough about him.
So, I mean, if you would have to pick a winner out of the three, or a scenario, how do you think that's going to go? You have those three. Do you think that there's a candidate out of the?
To be honest, I would go for Roxy. To be honest, there is a lot of people that are disappointed and fed up with the current commissioner,
Mhm,
but it is a tough one there. People are elaborate and convincible with the paving of the streets,
mhm.
and they feel that that makes amends for every other mistake that they have done.
Yeah. So,
And I'm not speaking in general to the younger crowd, but to the elder or more mature crowd that feel that having a paved road will be sufficient for that vote.
mhm. So, what you're thinking of how it's gonna end up? So, I mean, you're gonna have three people in there. So, the majority of the time, it goes into a runoff. Do you feel that there'll be a runoff in this one?
It could possibly go that way.
Okay. But you say that ultimately you feel that more than likely you'll probably be facing Roxy Rios as your opponent in November. Is that your prediction?
That's my prediction.
Awesome, awesome. So, what kind of activities? I know you mentioned that you guys haven't been doing too much as a Republican Party since you do have, you don't have an election yet, until after the primaries. But what kind of activities, preliminary activities, have you been doing as far as your election goes, or what
Right
kind of
now,
effort?
I personally haven't started doing any activities. I really wish to be doing more, and the weather hasn't helped us that much. That's not something to blame. I could personally be doing more. Um, it's difficult for me, at least,
Hmm.
to manage my campaign. I have some support from my party, but mostly my campaign will be financed personally,
Mm.
and that's in an effort to show and demonstrate my constituents that I'm in it to win it. That if I invest my own money, it's because I really care about my community.
No, yeah, of course. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to spend any money, any funding, any kind of money into something that ultimately isn't going to work out, right? So, I mean that's something different. We typically don't see people fund their own campaigns here because campaigns can get a little bit of expensive,
I
and
mean, I do have my business going, and it's going very, very well for me. And I can my business can support um, paying for my campaign.
awesome, awesome. What kind of support? I mean, I know this.
I mean,
You
I'm
know,
not saying that my party is not financing my campaign either, but most of the early um, campaign expense will be paid by me.
yeah, and that's what I was gonna mention in this next question I had. I was gonna ask how supportive have the Republican Party been, because I know they're recently got established, probably 4 years ago, 6 years ago. We didn't even I didn't even know that there was a Republican Party here. This past election, whenever Trump ran, we saw people coming out a little bit more, that willing to say that they're Republicans, and now you see a lot of support, out there in social media. You see that things are not the same the way we grew up. A strong Democrat city, it's just not there anymore like it was before. What's your prediction as far as turning this county into a red county? Is there a good chance of that happening? Is there any chance of that happening?
There is, and we've had a lot of support, and I have a lot of contacts here in Austin and in Fort Worth and in Washington that we've been working with. A lot of conservatives, and I mean, Rio Grande City already turned red, so I mean, we're heading up this way, and it's something that we are gonna fight for, and we are gonna turn this county red as well.
So you are getting some good support from the local Maverick County Republican Party.
Yes, we are.
Awesome, awesome. Um, what are your thoughts moving forward? How are you guys approaching? Because I do know There's several Republican candidates. It's not just you. What kind of approaches are you guys planning to use to, get that vote out there and convince them that they should be voting Republican rather than Democrat come the general election?
It's people for the people. I mean, we are ordinary people, small business owners, conservatives, church members, um, people that have been working even in the institutions. I know that we have people working in the manufacturing areas
Mhm.
as senior buyers and securities. Um, and investigators and stuff like that that know have knowledge in this kind of of agenda, right? And we even have a person that has worked 11 years at the sheriff's office.
Mhm.
So I mean, they are knowledgeable of what the job consists of being a political candidate and an elected official.
So let's say that you win the election in November. You come in, I think next year, right? The following year. So what would be the top two priorities that you will address as a commissioner?
What is the what?
What are the top two priorities that you will be addressing as the Maverick County Commissioner, Precinct 2?
Is reviewing everything that is in place and trying to amend whatever is not correct.
And do you feel that there's a lot of things that aren't being done correctly in the county, in Maverick County?
Um, I feel that there's a way that they do things and slightly try and make it unnoticeable for people, and people pass it as just like, oh, it's just something that happened.
Hmm.
For example, they said that they weren't raising taxes, but if you check it out, they did.
Really?
I don't know if you figured that out. I mean,
No, I haven't looked into it.
they appraised your property higher, but the tax rate never went up.
Oh
I don't know
yeah,
if,
I mean your property values typically always go up. So the
but how can
whole
it? Can I can I say something?
yes,
I
please.
mean, we had this winter storm last year that affected well the whole county,
Hmm.
and some homes were insured and some homes weren't. Some people lost part of their homes with that winter. I mean, how can they know if their houses were devalued?
Yeah.
And I mean, we are having COVID as well. I mean, you don't know if things are going south with your home. I mean, it's common sense.
Yeah, and I think I want to say after all that situation, I don't think there was too much movement to repair those homes or do anything to assist. As far as the Maverick County goes, I haven't really followed up, but I know that there hasn't been too much word about that since well, it's been a year now, right? Since the other winter freeze, of course, this one was nothing like the last one. Uh,
Exactly. I just and I saw that and I remember that because we obviously were without power and water for numerous days here in Eagle Pass,
mhm.
and without cell service and stuff like that, some of us, and I mean, that affected some of the community. Some of us were lucky enough that didn't were not affected, but I mean that's something that we would have to look at too.
Yeah, I think that emergency management is something that's real huge that the city and the county need to work at. I think the city is much more advanced to handle or equipped to handle emergency management situations such as the freeze from last year. Of course, you can't compensate for former Mayor Luis Fuentes there trying to stick everybody into open a shelter at the multipurpose and trying to open a shelter there, uh, without a place to heat, without any insulation there, having the new gym that is and was built with the intentions to be used as a shelter for such things as the winter storm that we had. So you go out in the county. I mean, they don't have any kind of response whatsoever with the county. Fire response. They do have a sheriff's department, of course, and then emergency management, and it's very important to have those types of things because like you saw, like you mentioned, we it hurt us a lot this past year during that winter storm. It was something that nobody expected, and we didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to handle it. Light was off, panic was everywhere. It was, it was chaotic. Um, but there, like you say, there's no plan. There's no pieces that are implemented here that are set up to prevent or at least make it a little bit more comfortable for us as citizens when something like that happens.
Yeah, they don't have a contingency plan.
Yeah. And that could be very difficult. I mean, obviously, a lot of us, I mean, just forget the fact that a lot of us lost light. Some of us, in precinct 2, in your precinct, they had to be lugging around water for people to be able to use clean water. Now that's another situation that you know we followed closely whenever we saw residents before any Maverick County official, before any Maverick County employee.
You know who was lugging water around this precinct before even the commissioner showed up?
Who was that?
It was Mr. Ramos,
Mm. Mr.
Ricardo
Ramos,
Ramos.
so Olga's husband.
Yes.
Oh wow! You see, and those are the things. I mean, you would think that the commissioner would try to do something, and I think she did. Right, she did respond, but I think
But it
you
was
know,
after. It was days after. I think
yeah,
the water had already came back on.
yeah. Ultimately, it was too late whenever she responded, but we did. I mean, we even had shared a story on that in one of our first Facebook pages about we were following that story as they were posting, asking people on Facebook if they needed anything in the precinct, some water or anything like that. I was able to, kind of follow the story as that was developing. And then a couple of days later, like you mentioned, we have Commissioner Cantu showing up. You have the judge showing up. I think Commissioner Morales was there too, and they took water, and they even had menudo there. They
I
even
don't
took
remember that.
they even took their own little container, the olla, and they were out there eating menudo too.
Yeah, but the first response was Ricardo Ramos.
You see, and that's not even a precinct where he lives in. For
Yeah,
one,
he.
it's not a precinct that his wife, Olga Ramos, commissioner of precinct 3. It's not even precinct 3. Should they have responded, or that's something they just did out of their, willingness to help somebody?
I think it was just the willingness to help somebody.
Man, that's crazy because you do put these elected officials in office, thinking that you're voting for the right person and hoping that when a situation like this comes by, your elected official doesn't overlook you, doesn't forget you, doesn't, leave you without power, without water for a couple of days. And it's disappointing because I mean, the way the situation turned out, that's exactly what it looked like. It looked like the certain section of precinct 2, which I think the majority was El Indio, right? um it looked like they were left abandoned, by the county. I mean, there was no response, there was nothing there. Like I said, you had to get somebody coming from the other side of town to come over and distribute water in the area to assist those that didn't have anything.
Yes.
What would you do differently in that situation as a county commissioner?
I mean, I would be out in the streets assisting, first of all, the elderly that are more vulnerable. I mean, I would, that's what I would assist more. Not that every citizen doesn't matter, but the elderly
Mhm.
usually are the first that we need to assist, and the children,
Yeah.
at least to try and get them into a shelter.
Just don't try to stick us in a shelter that doesn't work, right?
That's why
Yeah, man.
we need to build a good shelter. I mean, I don't know why we don't have that car up and running as a shelter. I mean, that I don't know what they do there. I mean,
I mean, I remember the Nick Carr Center. A couple of, I mean, you're talking about years ago. It used to be a place where there would be so many events, so many people. I think they would have an after school program as well. Is that
yeah,
something that?
there was an after school program there with tutors, and they would assist children, but there's nothing there of that sort anymore. That's something that would help our community, and children. I mean, there's so many children that can't at least go out, um, that are isolated at home still with this pandemic almost gone and coming and going and spiking. I mean, children still need to get help for school. I mean, if we get some tutors there, I mean, that would be a great idea for our children.
Awesome. So is that something that we can expect from you if you were to win, the Maverick County, the position Maverick County Commissioner of Precinct 2? Um,
Yes, we have to look into every aspect of the community. We have to look at of the aspect of how we can get employment, how we can get activities done for. I know that at one point they had cooking lessons there for women. I don't know what ever happened to those. I mean, I know that they were coming from other places, but I don't know, they stopped coming. I mean, we have to reach out to agencies to come in back into our community to assist and provide the services for our community.
yeah, and I think that's, I mean, I want to say that that's something that's been lacking in the community is more advocacy. I mean, you do see people beginning to advocate their causes and what have you, but I think that it comes short whenever you're trying to execute something. I mean, and that's what I have seen here in Eagle Pass. A lot of people, they are good at making all these plans and getting stuff, ready to go, but it fails or it lacks at the stage where you're supposed to execute. And I think that that's one of the things that is difficult to understand. Um, a lot of these things that are going on have been at the table for some time already. Sometimes projects get moved around, and that's one of the things
But it fails because you put the wrong persons in charge. That's why it fails, and you don't administer it the correct way.
mm, and how.
At least at the county. I mean, you try and get your friend or your compadre to come in and administer it, they misuse the funds and they don't hire the correct personnel that have the capacity to run this program. I mean, it's eventually gonna fail. But if you get someone that is knowledgeable and they hire the proper employees and they run it, it's gonna prevail.
Hmm.
But you want to give a salary of $60,000 when that director should be winning $30,000, and maybe other persons should be getting the rest of the salary.
What
That's
would
that's
be,
what that's that's what people here are earning. I mean, these directors are earning way over the top money. I mean, I'm not saying that they're not worth it. Maybe they are, but they're not doing their jobs.
yeah. And how do you feel about the money distribution? I mean, I know we brought up the yum yum tree that we saw on the newsgram, a couple of weeks back, and it was a big yum yum tree. I think it was something over $2 million in salaries that are being spent annually in those particular people, if I'm not mistaken. What would be a way, or what would be your method of correcting something that obviously, I mean, it just doesn't look right. The yum yum tree, you know what I mean? What would be one way that you can go about trying to fix that or address that situation?
I would definitely review the salary base point for everybody
Hmm.
and see if they are actually earning that salary correctly. I mean, there are statistics that tell you if you are in the right salary range, and
I,
obviously it also depends on your tenure, right? But I mean, it would mostly tell you if you are earning the correct,
well,
and if
I
you
mean,
are also the
that's
adequate person for that job. If you're not doing anything, I mean,
I mean that's a good point you bring up, and I think it was Commissioner Roberto Ruiz who kind of brought it up in the commissioner's court, and I'm not sure if they were going to move on it or not. But for example, the city years ago had, oh, excuse me, had a company or a gentleman come in to do just that. He was a consultant. I don't remember his official title, but he was a consultant that would go through HR and personnel and establish job descriptions. And based on the job description, there were certain, criteria there that would grade out the position. And then depending on that grade, you would land in a scale. The scale was already established. The scale was, so that either every year, every 2 years, you're moving a step one way. So you're getting an increase, right? But you always had to fit within the parameters of that job description to hold that position, right? And then they had a
yes.
little bit of leeway based on experience whenever they hire you. Now, as far as I know, there's nothing established like that whatsoever in the county. And I think that it's so general that they can play with the numbers a little bit. You know what I mean? I mean, they can give a little bit more to a certain somebody that they wanted to get, they wanted to hire, or they can, not give as much to somebody that, hey, well, we got this person, not necessarily part of our yum yum tree, but nonetheless, somebody to fill the position, right?
I
Um,
think that would be the best idea to go about salaries and reestablish the salaries going by somebody that would actually know. I mean, I don't know what the HR guy there, Mr. Sanchez, is doing because he never knows anything and he never has the answers. He's never prepared for that meeting. He's just there, and he's just like a stool there, like that stool that is always interfering in your way because he's always there and he's always in the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think he came out and he was featured on that Yum Yum tree too, wasn't he?
Yeah, I saw a lot of them. I don't recall every single one of them, but I did see them.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that we're kind of
And
seeing.
have you noticed nobody that has been on that tree has commented or denied anything about it?
No, that they haven't said anything publicly, not at all. Well, one of the things that I don't know if you've been keeping up lately. Now that we're kind of talking about current things that are going on here politically, have you seen the back and forth between Judge Salcedo, Ramsey Cantu, and Mayor Salinas?
Yeah, I've seen they seem to have like a little fit between them.
Now it gets real interesting because you got Judge Salcedo commenting about how the city was left broke, the city is in bad financial situation, and he's blaming everything on Ramsey, right? So then you got from there you have the actual mayor of the city of Eagle Pass coming out and saying we're financially sound, we have a good credit rating. Look at all the infrastructure, look at all the stuff we've been able to do, which I mean, you got to give the credit where it's due, and at least that we Eagle Pass is looking different than it did 10 years ago. That I think we can all agree. Eagle Pass is looking different. So, in saying that, you have the mayor coming out and virtually debunking what Judge Salcedo is trying to say, and we also caught some another video of Judge Salcedo going into another commissioner's precinct and trying to nitpick on how something is dirty, how trash is here, trash is there, and you never saw that before. I mean, to me, it was funny because he says he doesn't get involved with the commissioners about their precincts, but in the video, and I think it was he came out probably with the Eagle Pass news leader, and he's there complaining and nitpicking at a commissioner's precinct.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and it's just I think it's a funny narrative that's developing how we are literally watching a tennis match, and you see one of them slap the ball over, and then the other one slaps the ball over, and they're just playing, kind of a hot potato with who did this, who did that, and everything. It would be just nice if we could just get them into a debate, huh?
Yes, that would be the perfect scenario.
Yeah, and so have I asked you yet? Who do you think will be winning that race?
It's a tough call.
Really?
Like I mentioned, I will silent my voice and I will not say who will win that race.
Well,
Eventually, everything will be Republican,
oh wow, that's
and
that's a,
I will let my colleague. I know that he will be on tomorrow,
mhm.
and I will let him win your guys' votes.
Awesome. Now, I mean, we're over the 1 hour mark here. We don't want to keep you, especially right now. It's a little cold and everything. Everybody wants to be under the covers and watching TV or what have you, having some coffee, hot cocoa. But do you have anything final to say to the people that stuck around viewing, the people that are going to view this later on? Any final
Yeah,
messages?
yeah. I have one final message for all my viewers and um, neighbors, community members. All I want is to better the lives of my fellow neighbors and community members without praises or publicity stunts and get the job done. That's what we need. The job done, not now, not tomorrow. We needed not next week, not next year, but now, and that's what we're going to do hand in hand with the red wave.
Sounds that the Republican Party here in Maverick County has some confidence.
Of course, that's what you have to start with.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. The Republican nominee for Maverick County, Commissioner Precinct 2, Jose Rodriguez. Thanks for stopping by.
Of course, anytime.
All right. Well, we look forward to having you again, and we'll stop by and hopefully get another interview before your race is coming up.
Thank you, Isaac.
All right. Thank you. All right, guys. So that concludes our interview with the Republican candidate for precinct Maverick County Commissioner Precinct 2, Jose Rodriguez. Again, guys, we're trying to bring you as many interviews with candidates, whether Republican or Democrat. We know the Democrat primaries are what is coming up right now, or in February 14th, the early voting begins for the Democratic primary. But we're trying to bring you as many interviews, talk to as many of these people that are running for office, so we can get to know them a little bit more intimately than from a sign, from a video on Facebook. It's always nice to get some kind of intimate conversation with these candidates, where they sit down and answer questions, and we appreciate each of them that come by, take the time to visit the Rising Texan podcast. But I guess that's all we have for today. Again, we were interviewing the Republican nominee for Maverick County Commissioner in Precinct 2, Jose Rodriguez. This podcast was brought to you by the Re-elect Roberto Ruiz for Commissioner Precinct 4 campaign. So, guys, go out and support Re-elect Roberto Ruiz for County Commissioner in Precinct 4. We want to get to our other sponsors as well. Wagon Wheel Smokehouse and Saloon, 830-513-7250. Go ahead and check out their new location, still here on Del Rio Boulevard. You guys can cash out me a donation at $, the Rising Texan Media. Again, we have our main sponsor, the Re-elect Roberto Ruiz for Maverick County Commissioner Precinct 4. Rodriguez Consulting and Services. Anything for your business needs, go ahead and give them a call, 830-971-4068. Viva K9 Dog Training, Grooming, and Boarding Center, 830-513-3523. Again, guys, thank you very much for stopping by, spending an hour with us to get to know the candidate, the Republican nominee for Maverick County Commissioner Precinct 2, Jose Rodriguez. We appreciate y'all stopping by. We're going to have another interview for you tomorrow, the Republican nominee for Maverick County judge. So that's going to be interesting. So you guys need to make sure you stop by, visit us at 8. We're going to have our podcast, and come and meet these candidates that are running for these positions in our community, that if they win, they're going to affect our community the way they vote. So it's always good to have some knowledge in these people, or know a little bit about these people that are going to run for these positions. Again, guys, this was the Rising Texan podcast. We appreciate y'all stopping by, and have a nice night.